Uh, Hello, my name is Brandon Segovia. Uh, my current major is an associate's in computer science and a bachelor's in computer and information technology, IT and computer science. Um, I like more, personally, I like the understanding of IT better. I think it's really interesting. Um, when you think of IT, you kind of think of the fixing computers, fixing iPhones, but it's much more in depth of that. And I really like how there's just a bigger, thing to IT. I do like computer science as well. I like the understanding of programming, and I know for in fact I'm gonna need programming a lot more when going into the field of IT, especially the higher fields. So that's why I've chose computer sciences first, and then I'm gonna work on my IT degree. I'm working on both at the same time, so I mean, I'm gonna achieve one and the other pretty much within the same time frame. Uh, what are my strengths and weaknesses in your field of study? One of my strengths in computer science is that I I like to I like to see ahead. I like to understand the harder forms of programming. Vectors, stacks. Um, I like to go further in depth of it, and I like to use the harder sets of the programming for basics, right? Because if I can understand the harder versions of programming and I can use it in these basics class, I'm not saying like your class is basic. I'm just saying like using a simple for loop instead of using a for loop, you use something way more complicated, right? My strength is that I can understand the harder versions of programming. Um, my weaknesses is understanding the basics of programming. Um, Another strength from programming is that I know a program will work the way I put it in, but I just can't really understand it. Like for a bubble sort or insert or stacks or vectors, I know how to develop them. I know how to put them in. It just I can't seem to get it. I can't seem to understand it, right? I know it works, right? I know the program works. I can do it. I can insert the program. I just don't really understand it, It just, in my mind, it's like my mind is copy and paste, right? I'm not literally copying and pasting, right? But I know the program. I know that this program works, right? So when I insert it into like, let's say for the current assignment we're doing, right? I know how to do this program, right? It's in my head. I see it, right? After like, of course, a prep time, given like I saw it the first day when you released it. So I've been working it for a whole week. I know how to do it, right? I know how to put the program, but like when I put the program and it works, and I go back and I just can't seem to like understand it, right? When people would read from beginning to end, right, and they would start from the beginning, first paragraph, and then they work on a second. I read the whole entire thing, and I was like, wait a minute, I know how to put this, right? And my strength is that I can solve it. My weakness is I have a harder time understanding it. For IT, I have a good understanding of the knowledge for IT. Um, I have a very good knowledge of it. I'd say I'm like in the mid tier, for like a student, for anyone in the IT field. I say I have a like good beginning to a mid understanding of it. I just lack the experience, right? I don't have the experience to prove, that my knowledge can work. Um, what do you plan to go for after? What do you plan to go after graduation? I plan to get a job. I plan to get a job that correlates with one of my degrees. Preferably, I would rather correlate with my IT degree, given that's my bachelor's. Uh, but honestly, like at the end of like college, I feel like I'm gonna be a full stack developer. Like I've been learning like over the time of learning. For my two degrees, I've learned like C, C++, C hashtag. Currently learning Python, which is really interesting. Assembly code, Java. I've learned that in high school. JavaScript, Java, whatever. Um, I've seen some Ruby, some Cobots. Um, I've seen a whole bunch. So, like, I feel like I'm gonna be a full stack if I continue this road. But the simple understanding is, after graduation, I want to get a job that correlates with my degree, because like I don't know, I just don't feel like it's worth it. Like people working like in the oil field, right? I mean, sure, I could work in the oil field, right? But it wouldn't feel right to me, going for a computer science degree or an IT degree and then going to the oil field. I want something that correlates with my degree so I can just continue to understand it, because that's one of my weaknesses, understanding something even though I already know how to do. And it's just unfortunate, I know how to solve problems, but when it comes to like someone asking me a question, why did you put that code? I don't know. It's in my head. It just, when someone says, can you write a program for a bubble sort? I type a program and says, why did you put that? I don't know. It just came to me, it's in my mind. It's there. I know how to do a bubble sort. I know how to do an insert sort, or a selection. I know how to do vectors. I'm still working with vectors. I know how to do stacks, and stacks is stressful. But just that's my weakness, is understanding something as basic as why'd you put that for loop there, right? It's just my head is, I know it's gonna work probably, but I know it probably will. Probably I know I need a for loop. 5, 6, 7 minutes. Let me hurry this up. Do you have any questions about the syllabus? Not really. The only questions I have is like, are we going to be learning a lot more complicated things like stacks and vectors? I think that's like my only questions there. What are your expectations from this course? I'm pretty sure it's everyone's basic answer is try to get an A. I really want to boost up my GPA. When the first 2 years of college, I slacked off, like really. And the moment I hit the third year, I continuously got A's, B's. I mean, some B's here and now and then. I got 1 C last semester, but that's because of the assembly course with Jean Powell. I forgot her name. Really hard class. Glad I passed it with a C. But I mean, my basic expectation from the course is to get an A. But for me personally, I want to continue to understand C++. Now that you put the thing for Python in there, even though I have it for another class, I want to learn more Python. I want to learn more programming. I want to learn more about programming. So instead of me just knowing how to do it, just putting the code I have in my head in the program, I can take my time. I can take a section of the question and I can start writing the program, because I know how to do it. I know how to understand it, rather than just reading the whole thing. The recent program you gave us is like, oh look, I know how to just, we've done this before. I just put a case and boom, 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 boom. I try to make it as basic as possible, that program. I try to not make it too complicated for myself. I try to put it as basic as I can. So I only use like basic for while loops and some cases in there. I did have to go back to previous assignments to do some of it. But yeah. What are my hobbies? Well, what are my hobbies, and do you find something interesting? I like to play games. Mainly it's FPS games like Valorant, Rainbow Six Siege, Call of Duty now and then. I like to, honestly, my favorite game is Ark Survival Evolved or Ark Survival Ascended at the moment, but I had to stop playing it. It's too much time on my hands. Currently I'm playing a game called Palworld. Really good game, honestly, in my opinion. Just like, it's like Pokemon and Genshin and Ark just had one big baby. What are my hobbies as well? Playing games is one of my hobbies. Watching anime is also one of my big hobbies. Watching TV shows as well. I've watched hundreds of animes and TV shows. Like, not just in total, but separately, individually. At the moment, I'm watching Supernatural for like the 6th time because I'm just bored. What are my animes I'm watching? I'm currently watching an anime called Talentless. It's currently a good anime. I watched hundreds of anime. I love reading as well. Mangas, manhwas, even light novels. I try not to go too much of light novels. No pictures. kind of boring. But some of the light novels I read are, you know, Solo Leveling, The Beginning After the End, Redo Zero. Is it no ReZero? Is it Redo Zero? It's ReZero, I think that's what it's called. It's the one where like he gets reincarnated, and every time he dies, he comes back like a day before. Really crazy anime. But I mean, that's pretty much it. 10 minutes already, so I'm guessing I am gonna have to do an upload for this video. Let's see if there's anything else I'm reading. No, not really. I just, you know, something I just want to point out there. Like I've been saying it before, you know, when I do programs and, you know, if you were to ask me a question, I would just blank out. Right? I know the program works. It's in my head. That's why like at the moment I'm trying to go back because you posted those videos of Lucian Silcox, and he put those videos. He was my first programming teacher, by the way, Programming 1, rest in peace. And now that you put those videos out there, I can go back and understand, you know, basic things. So I'm actually glad you put that there. It's really gonna help me understand something as basic as a for loops. I know what a for loop works. I know it works. You know, it's just like when someone says, "Why'd you put a for loop in that program?" I go in my head and it's like, I don't know. It just came to me. You know, I guess that's one of my weaknesses. My strength is I can solve it. My weakness is, yeah, I don't know how it works. But that's pretty much it.